Happy Tuesday, everybody, to this Tuesday edition of Enter the Ring. I am your host, AJ Rage. It looks like Eric the Red just got here in the nick of time.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, brother, man.
Did you already start?
Yeah, I just started with the intro and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
I think and Mike's not. I just talked to Mighty Mike, our brother, and
Yeah.
he's not
Well,
here right now. He's going to call in
I
a
had
little
I
bit.
had to grab the important items for.
I feel you,
Sorry.
brother. I feel you, brother. But I know that Mike said he's going to try to call in. He had
Yeah.
some prior appointments and stuff he had to take care of, but I want to talk to him. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot tonight about the upcoming July 24th, the trilogy, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. You
Yep.
know, we all, kind of have our feelings as far as with this fight. Um, Tell me a little bit, bro, while we get
Right.
into it. There's been a lot of talk as far as between the two opponents, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. We know Tyson Fury's got the gift of gab. I take what Tyson Fury says when he's insulting somebody or kind of overstepping his bounds a little bit, where maybe it could be considered a little bit classless. I know
Yep.
you lost a lot of respect for Tyson and Billy Joe Saunders during the Canelo lead up,
Yep.
but I think in the situation with um, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. Tyson
Yeah.
Fury is the utmost entertainer. I mean, how many guys can go in there and go 12 rounds with the Browns bomber and then end it with the country song in the middle of the ring? I mean, that's Tyson Fury. I mean, he's great for the sport. You got to love the guy. He's
Yeah.
got a huge heart.
Okay.
He's
So
generous.
you're right. You're right. Okay. So I went back and I started watching more and more and more of what Fury's been talking about, what Deontay Wilder's been talking, and Deontay talks just as much shit as Wilder, if not maybe even a little bit more, especially for about this fight.
Yeah. Well, I think as of late, Deontay, you see, we touched on it briefly in the last episode, on the Sunday episode, and that was that leading up to this fight, there was still a lot of question marks whether or not this fight was even going to happen. Deontay had obviously had some that's nice, had some personal things going on, suffering, your first loss, I mean, it's got to be a devastating thing. But in the case of Deontay Wilder, I thought silence was golden. I thought his silence meant I'm going to say it again. I always use this reference. I don't know why. Just I always remember it. It reminds me of what it's like to really be a fighter. And that's a scene from Rocky 3 when Clubber Lane's preparing for Rocky, and Rocky's kind of doing the glitz and glamour, the Hollywood thing, and Clubber Lane's sweating it out in this dirty gym in South Chicago. I mean, so that's what I'm thinking Deontay's doing. And in one way, he is with his new trainer, Malik Scott. We'll talk more about that too later.
Okay.
But I think the thing with Deontay is now that he's talking, the more he talks, the more that I'm losing confidence that he's actually even going to be a viable opponent. He's always going to be dangerous because he's got that one-hitter quitter. But
Yeah.
Tyson Fury is more than a one-trick pony. So Deontay's got to bring more than one.
Yeah.
Based on the videos that I've watched of Deontay Wilder recently and stuff in his training methods with Malik Scott, he's not working on the things that he needs to do in order to prepare himself for a formidable opponent like Tyson Fury. Rather, it looks like a guy who's just kind of getting himself convinced, I got to go and kick this guy's ass because he kicked my ass last time. What do you think, bro?
You said that beautifully. That's what I think. I mean, once again, I'm going to say, like kind of like what you just said. The more Deontay starts spouting his mouth off now, like you said, the more he's just not. He doesn't look serious. I mean, he had this big old thing. I was just watching, and he's at the end of this table and he's talking. They kept the thing rolling, and then at the end he's like, or whatever the hell he said. And I'm thinking to myself, you're a fool. Your head should be focused so much in the gym right now. You shouldn't have time for any of this crap because Tyson Fury is going to come in probably heavier, and he's going to be ready to just really throw some hard punches. So and he's only got to catch him maybe once or twice, and that's it.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's almost kind of like, you see Deontay, and he's going down this destructive path where you just want to tell him, Deontay, please shut up. When you were silent and you just showed those little memes of you, sitting on a chair outside of a ring like you just had a hard workout and just getting work done. Those are the kind of things that motivate people. At this point, it's almost kind of like, I don't know. Oh, and there we go. Look, we got a little banner there on the back of Deontay Wilder, and right in between them.
There you go.
No, but the thing is, right now, I really think Deontay, and you see this a lot with fighters when they suffer that first loss. So somebody, especially somebody that has the ego the size of Deontay Wilder, as hard as he hits, and he is a humble guy in some ways. He's a guy that comes with a good backstory. He's very athletic, took care of his little girl. I mean, he fights like how John Molina, the gladiator, used to always say, I fight to feed my family. Same situation. But in this, it feels to me more like revenge. Like, I'm not going to allow Tyson Fury to do this. And now he's kind of playing the race card, which is really making me
that
lose
just pisses
hope.
me off.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we know we've been involved in the sport of boxing, pretty much our entire lives. Whether it be in the ring or
it doesn't matter if
you're
now. Black, white, red, purple,
boxing,
green, whatever.
Man.
You know what? Everybody, they each have two hands. They got a head, arms, and legs. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you're white. That whole thing just pisses me off beyond all measure, because you know what? I don't know. I've never owned anybody, and my great grandfathers have never owned anybody. But this stuff is being thrown around so much. All right, I'm just saying. But all of this stuff is being thrown around so much that it's easy for somebody like Deontay to jump on the bandwagon. Oh well, it's this. Well, it's not
it's going to happen. It's happened so many times. I mean, Brian Custer during the lead up to the Gervonta Davis Mario Barrios fight, he used a reference, and he was talking to Tank to try to get Tank's goat up, to try to get him to say something about Mario Barrios, something about like Mario Barrios's. Some of his trainers, guys within his staff had made a comment, we're going to beat him down to the white meat. I've never really heard that term before, that reference, that phrase, whatever you want to call it. Brian Custer kept trying to play the race card, and Tank Davis, Gervonta, didn't bite into it. He was kind of like, well, it's not going to change my opinion. I'm still going to go in there and destruct this guy, and getting me racially pissed off because I feel I'm being profiled isn't going to make it. So get him away from that right now, because Michael go crazy. We start talking about that. I think with Deontay Wilder, I mean, I don't see what his plan is, because obviously in fight number 2, he didn't have a plan. Now, on the other end, Tyson Fury and the lead up to the rematch, I'm talking about the rematch, not the first fight, the rematch against Deontay Wilder, Tyson was doing some unusual things. One of the things that he was doing a lot of guest episodes and being involved with the WWE and wrestling. Yeah, he was actually getting in the ring. I remember I thought to myself, man, are you crazy, dude? You got this huge fight coming up against Deontay Wilder, and you're over here screwing around in the ring. But I figured it out. It was all a plan. Because what do wrestlers do? They use their weight, they lean on you, they maul you, they basically control their opponent within the ring. And that's exactly what Tyson Fury did. So in a sense, Tyson Fury got a workout and got some celebrity status at the same time that included his game plan.
And then I didn't get a chance to see those WWE ones.
It was better than when Mayweather fought the Big Show. Let's just say that. But now with Tyson Fury, I know there's been a lot of talk about the gloves, and I've seen the pictures, I've seen the video. I went back and I've used a lot of my video editing equipment to really, 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 enlarge those pictures to see. And I will admit, without casting any doubt on the victory that Tyson Fury earned, there was something a little off. I noticed just way too much flexibility, and I'll try to pull up a picture and show you here in a minute. But I noticed a lot of soft flexibility within the glove of Tyson Fury. Now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fighters, even fighters from the past, that use that open glove kind of pawing situation, but this was a little unusual. Maybe it was just the glove itself, the brand, I think it was Everlast, I believe. I don't believe it was Rival. What's your take on that?
I'm pulling it up now so I can try and take a look and see what you're talking about.
Well, it wasn't like the situation like back in the days when Billy Collins Jr., when he was what I considered attempted murder in his fight against Luis Resto, that caused Panama Lewis to get caused Panama Lewis to get banned because Luis Resto and I was Panama Lewis and his people removed horsehair from the glove on Luis Resto. When he beat undefeated Billy Collins Jr., beat his face to a pulp. Billy Collins Jr. was never the same again, never came back to boxing, drank himself to death, and ultimately ended up dying a few years later. Okay,
so here, check this out. I just looked at the gloves and what they're talking about and all that good stuff. You can see like the indentations and all of that. Have you ever thought that, that foam or whatever's on the inside of that actually can and does shift and get crushed? He was probably hitting because at the beginning of the fight, it wasn't like that. And it's not like he's, stopped halfway through and put on different gloves. But when you're hitting and any old pair of glove is going to break down, and it's going to break down over time. And yeah, he was probably hitting him with more knuckles towards the end of the fight than he was in the beginning of the fight. But that's probably going to happen with pretty much any glove.
Well, I'll show you something right here, bro. I'm going to share something with you real quick so I could kind of show you what I'm talking about. So right here, can you see what I just shared?
Yeah. I'm looking at that same thing right here.
Yeah. Okay. So this is one of the controversies that they had. If you look right here on the picture to the far right on the upper thing, that's actually his finger. You see the split there in his knuckle. So what they were trying to say was that it's called topping off. So what it is his knuckles were at the midpoint of the glove and there was nothing on the top. So when he was throwing punches, the back part would flip up and he was hitting literally bare fist on Wilder.
Oh,
you see what I'm talking about?
I see what you're saying.
So it'd be like if you had a glove on right now, like I'll show you here in just a second. Here, I'll tell you what.
But give me your take. That could be the crease in his hand. That could literally be the crease in his hand. You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I'm looking at that same picture right here.
I'm sorry,
and that literally that could be the crease right here because his thumb's up in there.
Well, let me show you.
Literally be a crease in his hand.
So let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is an Everlast glove right here. Okay, so obviously, you got the glove on and your hand's supposed to go completely
inside. Yeah.
Inside. Now, if I was to strap it like I'm doing and try to do this, like how it was, even with me pushing it hard, you see there. Now, obviously, this isn't a glove for a competition. This is more of a sparring glove. But here's the thing is I'm talking about. If you look right here, what I'm going to do right here, as I take it off, I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to keep my thumb at just the base, and I'm closing my fingers here.
Okay.
Here. Now, watch. I'll show you. Okay. So you see how the glove is now? So my knuckles are actually here in the center. But now look. You see how the glove goes when it hits? And that's what was happening. So if I do a punch, this is going to go up, and you're going to hit with a bare knuckle. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying at first glance and looking at it more, I could see where something was irregular with this thing. Okay. I'll guarantee you that there will be no glove issues.
I'm looking at the punch itself right here. Ooh, let me go there. That punch there is.
Well, you can see where he's hitting it with. You see what? Okay, so if I go back again, I said,
it's the front of the glove and it's slid around to the side almost.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you look at when he's not okay, so watch. I'll show you this one right here, just real quick. Okay, so I'm sorry. I know we're kind of doing this debate thing on here, but it's just kind of
okay. Hey, it's our show. We can do whatever we want.
So on this one right here, bro, if you look at where he hit Deontay right here, okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, when you're landing a punch like that, don't get me wrong. There's chances where you're going to get a miss. The guy might have a lot of Vaseline to sign off, but it literally looks like the reason why that glove is going that way is because his fist, when you're coming into punch right away, you're turning in, want to say you're turning in, your fist is turning in. So when your fist is turning in, the flappy part of the glove is going back, and that's why he's hitting. And it looks like a lot of the connects that he was landing on Deontay all had that weird look where it looked like the top of the glove. It just doesn't make sense. But like I said, once again, I'm not trying to cast a bunch of bad stuff on Tyson Fury, but there will be no glove controversy. I'm sure Deontay's on top of it. I'm sure that everybody involved is going to make sure there's going to be no funny stuff, because it would be a really, really bad thing if a fighter at the level and the caliber of Tyson Fury had to revert to Tom Brady-ish type tactics in order to gain favor over Deontay Wilder that cost him his first defeat.
Yeah.
What do you
You're
think?
right. You're right. I'm looking at these punches.
It is kind of unusual, though. It is. We haven't really talked about the glove debate, and it is a little bit unusual. Now, as far as all the other stuff that Deontay talked about, the spiking of the water and all this kind of, that shit can all go out the effing window. I can really give a rat's ass about that.
But when you look at it, okay, so 1 second it might look like the glove did something, but then immediately 1 or 2 seconds later it looks back to normal. So there's really no way for somebody. I believe so. As far as I'm concerned, the glove is not controversial. What I see is at the front of the glove. After some of these punches, it's denting. It's actually
and it's not supposed to do that. There's no way. Okay, see, these gloves today, they don't do that. They're supposed to test these gloves before they get inside there. If the whether it be the horsehair or they got retrofoam, whatever they have inside the glove, if it's moving that much, then that glove's defective. And when you're taking, I'm not saying that getting hit with the glove is any less than getting hit with the bare knuckle, because sometimes just the weight of the glove is going to increase your punching power. But it was the fact that one of the first punches that Tyson Fury landed was pretty much the punch that sealed the fate for Deontay Wilder, and that was the shot to the ear that busted his eardrum. And if you're getting hit with a bare knuckle, something that's a little bit harder, a little bit, a la Antonio Margarito versus Cotto, you're going to see some type of lasting effect. But moving past all that, I think the biggest hurdle right now for Deontay Wilder is Deontay Wilder. He's got to stop focusing on this race card. He's got to, I don't know what Malik Scott's doing as a trainer. I heard Dan Goosen saying some good things about Malik Scott because he used to train Malik Scott. I take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, people that know Malik Scott, he was a decent heavyweight, actually fought against Deontay Wilder in this controversial fight where it didn't look like he got hit and he was out in the first round. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't look like, to me, when you pull a guy who you beat, unless it's a guy like a Vasily Lomachenko or something like this, I don't see, or Canelo Alvarez, I don't see how it's going to really help you. Jonathan Banks has done nothing, for Gennady Golovkin that I could see. He did nothing for Klitschko when he had Klitschko. So, Tyson Fury's doing what he has to do. He's with Ben Davison. He knows what he needs to do. He's coming in with a lot of confidence because he's already stopped Deontay. That was another thing that really bothered me about Deontay. He's like, no, you never stopped me. He puts the blame on Breland. Well, he needs to go back and watch the video because Breland saved his life. You agree?
I do. I'm just.
Do you have a prediction for this fight, by the way? It's right around the corner.
I thought I said it last time. Fury does it again. He either ends him late or wins a decision.
See, I'm going to be a little bit harsher because, like I said, I've always been a big Deontay Wilder fan, and I'm still a fan. Don't get me wrong. One loss doesn't change my opinion. But based on the fact that I don't feel Deontay's properly prepared, I saw him in the gym in a video today and stuff where he's lifted a lot of weight and stuff. I'm like, dude, that because you're trying to increase your upper body strength, what you should be doing is squats and do something with those chicken legs that you got, because that's the problem, man.
Yep.
You're too light in the ass. If he comes in at 216 pounds against where rumor has it, Fury saying, I'm going to come in at 300 and just roll over this guy, like fat bastard, dude, what are we going to do? It's going to remind you of the days of when Butterbean used to just go in there and annihilate people. People are like, dude, the guy's a hell of a fighter. I'm like, no, the guy's 300 plus pounds. That's the problem.
And you can't hurt him to the body. And
What are you going to do? But my my opinion is this: is that I don't think it's going to be as entertaining as all of us kind of wished and hope it's going to be. I think Tyson Fury is going to. I think the first round might be a little wild, a little unorthodox, maybe a little, amateurish looking. But then after that point, I think once Tyson Fury kind of establishes himself, and I say that happened in the second, third round, it's going to look like just a continuation of where the other fight ended. And it's just a matter of time because Deontay is going to be sitting back, still trying to wind up to get that one big right hand in. And I don't know if if he's losing speed, confidence, focus, what it is, but he hasn't been able to land it. And it's not like Tyson Fury. This isn't like,
he's not like Sugar Ray Leonard where he,
this isn't like Brian Castano fighting against Sebastian Pandora, the Inferno Tower, the Tower Inferno.
Yeah.
We're not talking that kind of a size difference. They're both about equally almost the same size in height. But for some reason, Wilder just didn't. But I'm going to go back and say something that I was talking about in the fight with Rob Brandt. When Rob Brandt lost his fight this past week. The reason why Rob Brandt, who's usually a puncher, wasn't landing those big punches is because he felt the power. I think the same thing happened to Deontay. I think after those punches, Deontay was cautious. He didn't fully extend with that right hand. He was afraid of what was going to come back. He wanted to give the impression that he was throwing a bomb, but it wasn't a bomb, and it wasn't an accurate bomb.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hey, so what do you think? Do you think? Sorry, this is funny. Do you think Wilder's going to come in his crazy outfit again?
No, that won't happen again. Because that's another thing that he put blame on. Let me tell you something right now. I'm going to put it this way. You take a fighter.
You go
and
there
I'm going to take a fighter because everybody has their favorites. Don't let commentators on any show make you feel like they don't have favorites. For some of them, it's very easy. On ESPN with Top Rank, we know Tim Bradley and Andre Ward sleep in bunk beds with Terrence Crawford. It's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We know over in the zone, if you're black and if you're fast, Sergio Mora and Chris Mannix love you. But if you're a hard hitting, just a blue collar worker, a blue collar fighter like a Jaime Munguia, they're gonna hate on him because at the end of the day, Sergio's afraid of Munguia. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
In no world. I mean, let's be honest. They fought in the same division. If Sergio Mora and Jaime Munguia fought, it puts Sergio Mora in his prime. Jaime Munguia ends him in a round, like nothing. But the point I'm making is that you take some of these fighters today, and what's going on around the world of boxing, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And there has to be. I know there's been a lot of debate on the news. They say that the news is majority run by Democrats. So whatever they want you to listen to, they're going to give you because it's their opinion. It's what they like. If there's a Republican side of it and it's very small, they're going to turn it, make it look bad. It's the same thing in boxing. Okay. It's the same thing in boxing. It's no different. They're going to try to turn your opinion. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to keep guys like Terrence Crawford relevant, obviously on ESPN because they got, he's got his contract with Bob Arum.
Yep.
The Zone's going to do the same thing. What they got to do with Canelo. I don't know what they got against Munguia, but then they got Haney and some other ones.
Like I said, I think what they have against Munguia is, earlier on in his career, they bet against him and they probably lost money on him and they don't like that.
I'm not going to say that, I don't want to get on a big Jaime thing right now because people are going to be like, guys, you guys are lovely, but Jaime's a great guy, but the point is that, Munguia, even in some of his showings when he didn't look stellar, people still forget that he's a young. Anybody else gets that apple card, it's like, it's just mistakes, he's still young. They'll use if a Shakur Stevenson or a Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia or Teofimo, if one of these guys make a mistake or have a bad showing, where they're not at the level that they think they should be, it's based on their age or experience. They're only going to get better. This.
Charlo this couple weeks back.
Horrible. Oh yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. But
nobody said anything about that. They were like, "Oh, Montiel, he did really good." Blah. No, Charlo was just sucked.
Well, I'm not gonna say he sucked, but I mean,
I'd love to see Munguia in there with Charlo. Period.
I would love to too, but I don't see the reality. But the thing with Charlo, so we get back on the other stuff real quick.
All right.
There was a thing that I saw him a special on the show, and I'm not trying to make excuses for Jamal Charlo, but I really think that this breakdown, even though his brother was at his bout, you could tell that there's still friction between the two, and they're twins.
Yeah.
So when there's that breakdown between brothers, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it can come back together, but and get almost to where it used to be, but there's still that little bit right there. And so, but they still got a ways to go. Yeah. I really think it falls more on Jamel rather than Jamal. I think they both love each other, but I think Jamal's taking it harder, being the older brother by only a couple seconds. It hurts him that he feels that his successes are not valued by his brother, where he said, I have no problem coming in second place to my brother. Nobody else but my brother. But that's that, whatever. So we got some fights coming up, obviously, this week. We got Chris Colbert on Saturday, the 3rd. It looks like his original opponent dropped out. So I think this is the second opponent for Chris Colbert, the undefeated Chris Colbert. And it looks, this fight's going to go.
Why is that so prevalent now, AJ?
It's crazy. I don't know if it's bad matchmaking or, back in the day, if you were a fighter and if you dropped out, a la, let's say like when Mugia, I hate to use Mugia again, but let's say when Mugia was getting ready for Cervenza, one of the guys he was going to fight was this guy named Ballard, this Michael Ballard, I believe. And the guy they never gave an excuse. He just kind of dropped out or whatever, for whatever reason. Back in the day, you did something like this, you found yourself suspended. A lot of promoters turned their backs on you, I mean, go back to the days when Roberto Duran, when he did no boss against Sugar Ray Leonard in the middle of the ring. It took years for Duran to get over that. Today, it's like whatever. But getting back, like I was saying about Chris Colbert, he loses his opponent, and it looks like he pulls King Tug, the kid out of Mongolia. I've actually seen Tug in a few fights. Tough kid. I saw him in his loss when he fought against his biggest claim to fame was losing a unanimous 12-round decision to Gary Russell Jr., which in the world of boxing is not a bad thing, because Gary Russell Jr. is an excellent fighter. Yeah. But the thing is with this is that, you don't know. King Tug's taking this, with on less than 2 weeks notice. I mean, I don't know if he was properly prepared for this fight. I know his last fight he had was back in September of 2020. So that's a little ways. And that was a win in a 12-round split decision where he had a tough time. Fights are going to be over at Dignity, which is in Carson. Great place to go watch boxing. I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house. It's become a hotbed for just slugfest.
Great fights, yeah.
It's becoming the new Olympic auditorium. Let's just say that. Now, Chris Colbert, I like Chris. He was documented in a documentary some time back about boxers. Chris has done what he's had to do. He hasn't always looked stellar, but the kid's got real talent. He's somebody I think that is definitely being overlooked in that division.
Okay.
For the abilities that he possesses. So ultimately, when you look at Colbert, you got to think to yourself, he's in that super featherweight division. So if I believe it correctly, matchups with him and guys like, I think Shakur Stevenson's in there too, I believe. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, to me, Chris Colbert's a more complete fighter. And if he comes in here and absolutely dominates King Tug, even on the short notice, and knocks him out, something Gary Russell didn't do, I think this speaks loud to the boxing world about we need to start taking a look at Chris Colbert. What do you think?
I don't know much about him. I'm sorry, brother. I'm not going to be any help on this. I will actually go back and I will start looking for some of his fights, but I honestly don't have anything for that. I'm so sorry.
No worries. So, obviously on Wednesday, the 7th, we got a big fight coming out of Australia that we've been waiting for. It's been postponed a few times.
3 a.m. in the morning. We get to wake up.
I will wake up and I'll guarantee I'll see you there, and Mighty Mike will be there, probably drinking his protein drink, half asleep.
We should do a Zoom and watch at the same time.
Might as well. But
that'd be cool. We're all going to be awake, so might as well,
You know,
That'd be
we've
cool.
we've had a few fighters here on Enter the Ring Live that we've focused on, profiled before their emergence. One of the more successful ones recently was Sebastian Pandora. Nobody really gave anything. Now he's from our area, you know, he's from out
Yeah.
here in this area in India, but we saw what made Sebastian Pandora just a little special. We weren't talking about his height. It was his boxing ability, his toughness, the fact that he could take a punch, all these kind of things. The fact that he was so tall but could fight inside. Now everybody's kind of jumping on the bandwagon. Well, there's another one. And even though he's from a namesake, he's not using it. And that is the emergence of Tim Tszyu, who takes on Michael Zarafa this Wednesday, I believe in Brisbane. I'm not 100%. I'll double check on
Queen,
that.
yeah.
Queensland.
Queen something.
Yeah, they're actually be fighting Newcastle Entertainment Center, Newcastle. Yes, you're right. Newcastle. So this is a scheduled 10-rounder against Michael Zarafa. Anybody who's not familiar with Michael Zarafa, Zarafa's a veteran from Australia too. He's been around for a while. Comes into the fight with a veteran, 28 victories, 4 defeats, 17 knockouts. Zarafa's most recent fight, he pretty much, I think, ended the career of Anthony Mundine in a first-round blowout. Prior to that, he had lost a 10-round majority decision to Jeff Horn, who many are aware of, a former welterweight champ. But prior to that, he had stopped Jeff Horn. So this was actually a rematch. He lost back in 2018 against Cal Brook, a 12-round decision. The reason I kind of brought up some of these because he does have a respectable ring resume, but he is really going from what I consider the luxury of a pool to the lava pit in the situation with Tim Tszyu.
He's headed to the Great Barrier Reef where all the great whites are.
Well, I think there's a reason, and you know, I know we've talked about this numerous times, but I think there's a reason why Tim Tszyu's name is left out of so many conversations when talking about the 154-pound division. Tim Tszyu is one of those guys that I know our brother Mike loves to use this reference, but it's a great reference, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. A lot of too much risk, not enough reward, or I think there's something like that. But long story short, Tim Tszyu, obviously the son of the great, first ballot Hall of Famer, Kostya Tszyu, one of our favorite fighters back in the day. In some ways resembles, and I'm not talking about just physically, you can see where the pedigree came from, but he's a different fighter than his dad. He's a kid that's wanted to stand on his own 2 feet. He never came in and said, hey, I want to be the son of a legend. And I'm gonna like so many actors do, where they just come in and they take their dad's last name, and even though their dad changed their last name, but I think Tim
he's a very patient fighter for as young as he is. He's a very patient fighter.
Exactly.
It is hard to, that's something that you don't just have. That's something you have to actually work at. And he's done the work. So
no, he really has. Yeah. But I see a collision course here. And I see that Tim Tszyu, I'm not saying that Tim Tszyu won't jump to 160 pounds. I think if the opportunity was there, he may. But you look at the opponents that Tim Tszyu's been fighting against. Obviously, Dennis Hogan was his last opponent. He stopped Dennis Hogan 5 one-sided rounds, ends up stopping Dennis Hogan 2 rounds shy of what 160-pounder Jamal Charlo did, And the thing was, it's like you see, this is what Tszyu wants. If Tszyu was probably given, he understands that he's still got some maturing to do. He's got some things to still learn. And he's very open and honest about that. He's not saying, he's not calling people out, but believe me, he's getting to that point now. And with the emergence of a possible unification with the Brian Castano, Jamel Charlo fight coming up, this might set up perfect for whether it be some type of Super 6 elimination or whatever, where Tim Tszyu could fit into that mix. Because I definitely think he's going to be and some people he's going to be the wild card, but he has the kind of presence to go into a tournament like that and do the same things that Josh Taylor was able to do in his.
Yeah, I can totally see that. So with that being said, I'm excited for the 7th. Not only is it my baby girl's birthday, but I'm excited for that fight. It's going to be great.
Birthday, dude. You want to talk about, I told you I've been talking about doing something on my birthday.
Yeah.
Every big fight's being dropped on the 14th of August. Yep. It's gotten so packed on the 14th of August that they actually had to move a couple of the fights.
Yep.
It's insane.
So
But
you're gonna have a good birthday then. You're gonna get to watch
watching
fights.
boxing,
Yeah.
watching boxing. But hey, getting back on this real quick. So Tim Tszyu, I think it's going to be a one-sided beatdown. I don't see this fight going any longer than 5 rounds. I'm taking Tim Tszyu inside of the distance and stuff. How do you feel about it, Eric?
I'd say the same. Zarafa's, like you said, he's been in there with some pretty good fighters. He's lasted. He's done 12 rounders before, correct? Am I right? He's been.
Oh yeah. Zarafa has. He went 12 rounds. He went 12 rounds with Kell Brook.
So you said 5 rounds. I'll give it 7.
What are you trying to do? The Price is Right thing? Were you out Bibby by $1?
Yep.
Oh,
by $1. I'll say 7. So
hey, so I know we're kind of talking about future fights, but hey, let's talk a little bit, Eric, about. I went back and I watched them because I know we were doing our thing on Sunday, but there were some fights on Sunday.
The Glanton fight.
Oh yeah. So why don't we go ahead and let's go ahead and jump into that right off the bat.
I thought they were going to try and steal that fight from Glanton. I'm so glad that they didn't. I mean, one judge had it a draw. How do you have that fight a draw? I mean, that wasn't even for me. I think maybe Glanton lost 1 round, maybe 2 if you're generous. But yeah, I mean, I was impressed. He hit. What was the other guy's name? Yeah.
Apolli,
whatever it was.
Apolli or something like that.
Yeah, there it is. Apolli. Of course, the announcers were so one-sided for Apolli. Hey, Glanton hits the guy with 4 or 5 good shots, and Apolli puts out a jab.
Apolli.
Oh, there's one for Apolli. Come on, man.
Well, once again, like I said,
Apolli was sounded like the president there for a second. Come on, man. Sorry.
He was definitely the A side going into this this fight and stuff, and
that's where all their money was on. There's all the yeah. I'm just glad that the judge got it right. You know what I mean? Honestly, I really, really am glad that happened, because there's only so many times you can watch a fight, score it evenly and fairly, and then it be completely lopsided and the other way without you just getting disgusted.
Everybody knew going into the fight. Like I said, I mean, Brandon Glanton, who's a former football player, he's a guy that came in, 12-0 at the time. I'm sorry, no, he was 13-0 at the time, coming in against obviously the hot product in Effie Apache, who was coming in with 11-0, both big punchers. It was I missed the first few rounds, so I had to go back and actually watch the entire fight after. But what I saw, I mean, we're talking, I know there's been fight of the year candidates. This was ridiculous. And literally at the very end of the fight, Glanton gets hit by Apolli, and you're just like,
yeah.
My first reaction after watching the fight was, without even caring what the decision was, I want to see it again.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
what a fight! It was a great fight to watch. I was I think when was that fight? Was that on Sunday?
Sunday.
That was Sunday, yeah. And so we were during our podcast, and I'm sorry if I looked a little enthralled on my computer screen with my eyes, but I was watching the fight, and it was that good. I was like, holy crap, this fight was really good.
Well, the whole card itself, and it kind of really it flew underneath the radar, the whole event, because I completely even forgot about it. You know me, I mean, I watch fights from the Tijuana team, on Telemundo and shit. But so that fight, so it was a night of upsets, and another upset, that was a couple fights down from there. Nathaniel Gilmore, a guy who's fought against the likes of Erickson Lubin, he actually lost to Sebastian Pandora in a fight where that really was the resurgence of Sebastian Pandora. He's lost to guys like Patrick Trucera, Julian J. Rock Williams. But this is a guy who comes with a big amateur pedigree. Went in against the 6'6", in the same sense like a Sebastian Pandora, and Leon Lawson, who came in 14-0, who was the hot product, and wins a 10-round decision. You saw that whole fight.
That was a great.
Tell us a little bit about the fight. Tell us a little bit about it.
No, well, I was actually I went. Let me see. So I was watching that fight. I didn't score that fight, but just my sense was Lawson was not winning that fight. But there again, I was concerned about the refs. I mean, the judges, because so many times, especially when they're so one-sided through the announcing, you almost want to think, man, are these judges also going to be doing that exact same thing? Are they looking at it from only Lawson's point of view instead of actually watching the actual fight?
Well, he's an easy way to look at it, bro. I don't know if it's fact or not, but let's say Leon Lawson III is signed under Top Rank. It's a Top Rank event. Top Rank has a contract with ESPN.
Yep.
Nathaniel Gilmore, not to say he can't get signed by Top Rank, but he's not with Top Rank right now.
Yeah.
So who are they going to kind of, so if at the end of the
towards,
day, Top Rank is paying the bills to ESPN that is paying the announcers, and the announce team is going to go ahead and call the fight the way they want to call it to promote the Top Rank guys. Obviously, it was a bad night. If all three of these guys were all Top Rank fighters, it was a bad night because Nathaniel Gilmore goes on to win a unanimous decision, 93-97 on one card. Fitzgerald, John Rella had it 95-95, and Patrick Malloy had it 94-96 in favor of for majority decision for Nathaniel Gilmore, which is a good thing because another loss would have really put Gilmore on the back burner.
So I don't know about how you would feel about this, but what would you say if instead of 3 judges, they had 7 judges?
I just think it would just add to the crust.
No. 7 independent judges watching literally ringside, basically 2 in each court. I'm just saying because then what you do is you take the high number, throw it out, the low number, throw it out, the middle number, throw it out. Then you got your 3 scores.
I see where you're going with that. I mean, it's a smart idea, but I've always said this: when you have a card and you have a judge that comes back with a card that's just absolutely ridiculous. When they've scored it for the other fighter's been knocked down 3 times in the fight. And you're like, okay, so during those knockdowns, you didn't score even a 10-9 round or a 10-8 round. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Make that judge accountable in the sense where they have to watch the fight with commission, maybe an independent commission, whatever
and
it is.
Actually explain why
but that's a whole other thing. So, and the other bout that happened that was a big upset, All Rivera defeated undefeated Omar Juarez. That was shocking. I actually saw a video on Twitter from Omar Juarez as I looked terrible and he was apologizing to his fans. All Rivera, man, a tough guy. You know, I'm going to say it again. I'm seeing more and more of this. You can't go out there and beat up on mediocre fighters. Guys got one foot in the ring and the other foot ready to sit on the couch and watch the fights and be an observer rather than a participant. In the situation with Omar Juarez, you know, he had fought against some decent fighters, but this is really a big step up. His fight against Araujo that guy was nowhere near the quality of an Al Rivera. You know, Al Rivera. Yeah. Rivera is you know, a guy who just comes in and I mean, he had a lot of knockouts. He had 18 knockouts and 22 wins. He had 5 losses. Of his 5 losses, you got to look at who he lost to. He lost a current champion, or former champion, Francis Bartholomew. He lost to Malik Hawkins, who's another hot product that's up right now at 16-0. They've all come to top-notch people. Yeah. And, you know, nobody's knocking this guy out. You know, he's knocking out people. The one thing that got me about Wars is he tried to be cute. I've seen him in a few fights before this. He tried to do that cute thing, you know, showing his brilliance as far as his overall ring generalship with his jab and the way he was moving. But it caught up to him because once he started to feel the punches from All Rivera, everything kind of changed. He started having problems with the eye. He was humble in defeat, you know, but we'll see how that changes with the weeks to come and stuff. But what did you think? Did you get to watch that fight?
I did get to watch that fight. And once again, I had it for the underdog.
Rivera.
I had him score too. And it was just a great fight, man. That whole card, that whole day. And that's why I'm so sorry. But on Sunday, I was probably looking like this the whole time because I was looking at my computer screen, watching these fights that were unfolding, and they were just barn burners. I mean, they were barn burners, which is amazing when you can get a 3-4 good fights in a row. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Just absolutely unheard of anymore.
So that's that. And I thank you, bro, man, for reminding me. But that leads up to the main event of a guy who's been a lot of hype that's coming on right now with his boxing career. And that is David Morrell. David Morrell scores a convincing 1-round knockout over formerly undefeated Mario Caceres. For people that don't know Caceres, he came into the fight 12-0 with 8 knockouts. His claim to fame was his victory a la injury to the not so serious Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Let's be honest, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. just dropped a decision to an old man.
He's not
MMA.
his dad.
Yeah, he's a guy who hasn't taken the sport seriously in years. He's a kid that had talent. If this was a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. who fought guys like Andy Lee, Caceres goes to sleep in 1 round, but that's not the case. So with that being said, Caceres really hadn't fought anybody outside of Tijuana, really, other than Chavez. That was actually fought in Tijuana. And he steps in with David Morrell. Morrell, who was coming into this fight, he had won via 3rd-round knockout over a guy who really didn't resemble. He's another former MMA guy or something in Mike Grabowski, who was just tailor-made to get hit. So, I mean, the thing is as soon as Morrell ends Caceres with what was a nice punch, don't get me wrong, they're making it like this guy was the second coming of Jesus Christ, and they're already starting to put him in. And I heard,
this pissed me off too. Well, I know what you're going to say.
Literally saying that Morrell is ready for guys like Benavidez, Canelo, and others. I'm like, no.
They said Canelo.
Yeah,
Canelo would end this guy in less than a round.
He has 5 total bouts. He's beaten nobody. His victory over Caceres means absolutely nothing because we don't really know what type of fighter he is. If his claim to fame was a victory over and out of shape, probably still lingering getting out of rehab, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., if that's his claim to fame, I feel sorry for him because other than that, man, you got a bunch of guys you never heard of. Not one guy had a winning record, and you're going to put him in. I'll tell you what, do us all a favor. So I don't have to deal with another Devin Haney or a T-Bud or a Teofimo Lopez, which we're going to do right here in just a moment. I want to play something.
Okay.
Where I have to hear this crap, from these guys
months and months,
building themselves up like they're Nimrod and they're building this tower and they're going to shoot an arrow through God's heart. Come on, give me a break, dude. You haven't done anything yet.
Yep.
Let him fight a David Benavidez. Give him to him. Get the money, give it to him, and let Benavidez end his big mouth and send him packing.
End his career. Benavidez would end the kid's career.
I'm not saying the kid doesn't have potential. He does. He's still young, but give him time. When you start to read your own press clippings and you start believing what others are saying about you, it's bullshit. A la Gervonta Tank Davis, they were talking about, I think what Tank did was amazing against Mario Barrios. I think Tank's biggest problem in the future is not Tank. It's Floyd Mayweather. He's got to sever that relationship because Floyd's going to take him down the wrong road, but that's another thing. So
he wants to. He wants him to get that elusive gone. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And Morrell reminds Andre Ward them of, I don't know, whatever. So
whatever. Yeah.
That's that. So real quick, I want to play. I'm not going to play the video because I don't want to get in trouble. We'll get a strike from YouTube. We know how they are. They're the YouTube Nazis. We'll be out. So it'll be fast. So what I'm going to do is I just want to play.
Just put the link to the video down in the comment.
Well, I'm just going to play. Go and watch it later. So you see the video, but I'm just going to play the sound. So I want you to hear what Teofimo Lopez has to say.
Standing for something to represent for myself. A lot of people, man, it's against all odds. This is a takeover. So my whole thing, man, I don't got to have any image or picture because at the end of the day, we're all training for the same guy. I've been said this. We're all training for Teofimo Lopez. That's it, man. You know, the same way he's training for me to get my belts is the same way I'm training myself and preparing myself to keep those belts. And, you know, I ain't focused on George Kambosos. I'm looking right through him. So my whole thing is just like that, man. It's that mentality, man. It's different. I mean, he'll get to see it, you know, he'll get to feel it in that ring. It's a whole different environment. I give that different energy. He ain't never faced a boxer like me or a fighter like me. Period.
You've never faced who you're coming up against.
Okay, so there's a reason why I brought that up was when I hear a guy like Teofimo Lopez, and obviously his bout against George Kambosos was canceled due to the fact that Teofimo Lopez tested positive for COVID.
But then
in
London.
But yet he's
Florida.
partying a couple days later in Miami with Edgar Berlanga and doing a bunch of other crap. So I call bullshit. Okay.
Yeah. He didn't want to fight Kambosos.
It's troublesome to me.
Yeah.
When I see a fighter talk about himself in the third
person. Yeah.
Yeah. He's so delusional. And I actually heard his dad, and you know where he got it from because his dad's just as delusional. And I've never laced up a glove in my entire life, Junior Lopez. You know what I'm saying? You know, still acting like he's a little homie from the hood, you know? But the thing is Junior's over here talking about fighters like Lomachenko. He starts talking about them, and then he brings up Gervonta Tank Davis and his success against Mario Barrios. And he goes in to say that Mario Barrios was a nobody, that Teofimo would knock him out in one round and he'll knock out Gervonta in two because nobody's like, his boy Teofimo. I'm thinking to myself like, dude, when is this insanity going to stop? That's why I get so upset sometimes.
Yeah.
Why I was so critical of Vasily Lomachenko going into this Nakatani fight. Because if he didn't perform the way he performed, I was going to just whatever, he was just going to be just so whatever to me. And I don't mean anything. That means shit to him. But the point I'm making is that if Lomachenko would have done what he was supposed to do in that fight, like the interview that was said with Jorge Linares, who lost to Teofimo Lopez, who lost to Vasily Lomachenko. He actually dropped Lomachenko in the fight, but Lomachenko stopped him, and he was at Lomachenko's fight, and they asked him, what do you think about Lomachenko's performance? And he said, amazing. He's back. And very complimentary. That's the kind of character that Linares is. He was obviously out of Tekken. Yeah. He's a stablemate with Nakatani. And he made a comment. So the person asked Jorge Linares, what do you think happens if that rematch happens with Teofimo Lopez? Do you think Lomachenko's got a chance this time? Linares looks at him and tells him, without question, he's all, I don't see it going past 5 rounds. If Lomachenko comes out fighting like this,
like that,
against Teofimo, it's a short night.
Yeah.
But if he goes back to reverting to listening to his dad and his cautionary tales, that is what it is. But I don't see that happening again. I was talking to our brother Mike, and I made a comment. I said, at this point in Teofimo, I keep saying that because he gets into my skin, dude. Lomachenko's career, don't get me wrong. He's never going to completely put blinders and put earmuffs on when it comes to his dad. His dad guided his career and helped him get to this point.
Yeah.
But unless it's a moment of desperation where Lomachenko sees something and he doesn't understand it, which is in this world of boxing terminologies is very small, then he's going to revert for a second pair of eyes, and there's no other person he trusts more than his father. But up to that point, I don't think there's anything his dad, Papachenko, is going to be able to tell him to do in a fight that Lomachenko doesn't already know what to do.
Yeah.
He showed it in this fight. He was so focused. He was back to the matrix. Whatever was coming this way was going because he was knowing exactly what he needed to do.
He knew exactly what he needed to do, and nobody was going to get him off of his game.
Nobody's kicking themselves in the ass more after the Nakatani fight than Vasily Lomachenko. He goes back and he watches what he did to Nakatani, and he's probably thinking to myself, what the hell?
Why did I listen the last time? Yeah.
I don't want to hear about no shoulder injuries. We know he had a shoulder injury and all this shit. Every fighters come, the fights hurt. It's part of the game. It is what it is. If you thought it was a question that your shoulder wasn't going to make it, then don't fight the fight, man. I don't want to hear this shit, but I'm happy about that. But what were we talking about prior to that? Shit, I completely forgot.
Upcoming fights. you were talking about?
Oh no, I was just talking about the insanity of Teofimo Lopez. I mean, this guy is just one of these guys that he's just another one with these others. But we'll go ahead and end our segment here. Let's talk about one other fight that's coming up, and that is undefeated Errol Spence, welterweight champion, will be taking on
Pacquiao, right?
Hall of Famer and the Pac-Man, Manny Pacquiao. What do you think, brother?
I think, well, Spence is a great fighter. He's amazing. Pacquiao is a great fighter. Get Pacquiao 10 years ago against Spence today.
You really think 10 years ago? Because you got to remember, Manny Pacquiao in his last fight
5 years ago
beat undefeated.
I understand, but 5 years
Keith
ago.
Thurman.
I mean, how old's Pacquiao now?
40. He just turned 40.
He's tough, man. Pacquiao's tough. I would love nothing more than to see the Pac-Man come out on top. I'm dead serious because I like him. I just like him. You know, I haven't always liked him. Like what was that one fight where he got just dropped?
Marquez.
Marquez.
Yeah.
I was actually rooting for Marquez that night. But Spence, I like Spence. I like. Normally he's nice and quiet, and he kind of keeps to himself. This is a hard one for me. Spence has all the tools. Literally has all the tools, but so does Pacquiao.
Yeah, the
Pacquiao's are just a little slower, you know. At this point, I think.
I'll tell you right now. This is my take on it. I've been watching video of their camps and watching a lot of their interviews and stuff like this. Don't get me wrong. And the physical advantages are going to fall on Spence. He's got the gift of youth, size, reach, not speed. Manny still possesses faster hands, I believe, than Errol Spence. Errol Spence to me has never been a blazing puncher.
Okay.
But the biggest hurdle that Manny Pacquiao is going to face in this fight is not any of those. It's the fact that Errol Spence is a southpaw. So Manny Pacquiao's being a southpaw no longer has those advantages of being a southpaw and those angles to fight against Errol Spence in this fight. But I think
how has he done against other southpaws though?
He hasn't fought a lot of southpaws, so there's no to tell. You know, a lot of the angles that Manny's able to do and where he's able to land that straight left hand is based on the fact he's fighting against a right-hander and he's a southpaw. Yeah. But I think what people fail to realize is those same they keep pointing the finger and saying, well, Manny's going to face these disadvantages. That's going to take a lot out of, you know, his bag of tricks. It's going to do the same thing to Errol Spence because Errol Spence being a southpaw, now he's facing a southpaw and some of the things that he had an advantage of in other fights are no longer going to be there.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
In Manny Pacquiao situation,
the veteran thing actually helps Manny. I mean, he's done the hard battles, the hard fights, you know what I mean? And he's stood the test of time too. I mean, how many guys at 40 are fighting at his weight and just still have the stuff, you know?
Let's just say this. There's not too many people in boxing, love them or hate them, that have a ring resume like Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
If I was to go back just 7 fights from today, this is how it looks for Manny Pacquiao. And this isn't even including his upcoming bout against the undefeated Errol Spence Jr. Okay. That is avoided by some fighters, a la T. Bud Crawford. People can say whatever they want, but Errol Spence, if he ever gets his hands on T. Bud, it's going to be an easy night for Errol. So his shocking victory over Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, who came in undefeated, the champion, came into the fight, at 29-0. Ends up fighting against Manny Pacquiao and gets dropped in the first round, the first time in his career. And you got to think to yourself, like, what the hell? The fight was close. It was debatable. You could have seen a draw. You could have seen it only one way, but Manny Pacquiao got the decision. But right before that, he defeats Adrian Broner. Then he defeats Lucas Matisse, Jeff Horn, Jesse Vargas, Timothy Bradley. I mean, come on. It is what it is. Those are great names. But when you look at Errol Spence Jr., okay, at 27 years old, so at 31. So, Errol's not a spring chicken, but he's not quite Manny Pacquiao yet. But in Errol's defense, after that catastrophic car wreck that he was in, where he was almost killed, to come back and do what he did to Danny Garcia, very credible two-time world champion, shows the type of quality and the high-level fighter that Errol Spence Jr. is. Prior to that, he fought a live and die battle with Sean Porter, where me and Mike were there in the audience on the undercard of the Tyson Fury. Oh, it wasn't Tyson Fury. Oh no, they were the main event. Yeah, it was with Johnny's last fight. And then before that, easy night against Mikey Garcia. Before that, Carlos Ocampo, who's really a nobody. Lamont Pierce. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
The level of opposition, even though I think Errol Spence, you put his ring resume against Terrence Crawford, and it looks stellar.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put Errol Spence's ring resume against Manny Pacquiao, it looks ordinary.
Yeah.
Guys like Terrence Crawford looks horrible.
Yeah.
The point I'm saying is that the biggest advantage you can give yourself going into any type of big fight is the one thing that always seems to come and haunt a lot of these fighters that think that they've been there, done that. And that's experience and exposure. Manny Pacquiao's been at the highest level multiple times. He's probably fought in as many world title bouts as Terrence Crawford has had pro fights.
Yeah.
Not to say that Manny Pacquiao, that's going to help him win this fight. I think this is a very winnable fight for Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence should win this fight. But if anybody's going to pull the shocking upset off, if anybody's going to have one more trick inside of them to pull off something and maybe end that illustrious career, it just might be the kid out of the Philippines, Pac-Man Pacquiao.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, what a way to go out.
It's a way to write a book. I mean, that's got
Oscar. I mean, what a way to
it.
go out on top. If he beats Spence and walks away from the sport and says, "No mas," you know what I mean? What a career! What a career! Go out on top.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's common knowledge. Manny's in politics. He's obviously in politics back in the Philippines. There's rumors with the upcoming election coming up in the Philippines right now. There's been a war words between their current president, that's a complete idiot, in Duterte, and Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Word has it Manny Pacquiao just might be the next president of the Philippines. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I've always thought that the Philippines made a big mistake by always hiring actors and stuff, but it is what it is.
But Manny's a fighter. Manny
is shown to be a true humanitarian within his country and the things that he's done.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he's still Pac-Man Pacquiao. He's not going to let anybody push him around. So, it's kind of, but I wonder how those physical stresses are going to spill over into this fight, because him having his job there, his seat, he has responsibilities he has to do. So he has to break camp in order to do these. He just can't take a hiatus from his seat in government.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another thing that people don't realize that Manny Pacquiao had to deal with, even in the Keith Thurman fight and stuff. So if Manny is able,
great in that fight. So
if he is able to overcome all of these things with all of that extra baggage and get this victory, hey, Manny, I wouldn't even do it anymore, man. Sell that story for millions and millions of dollars, man, and I'll watch it on the movie theater. Yep. But if he doesn't win, there is no shame in ending your career at the hands of an Errol Spence Jr., who is, like we said before, all hail the king. Errol Spence Jr. is
one of the pound for pound,
an amazing fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm excited for it. What's your prediction on that fight? Just give me a, you can change it in a week, but
it's going to go 12 rounds. That's my prediction.
That's all you think?
That's it. It's going to go 12 rounds, and I don't know who's going to win. I'll tell you who I'd like to win, but
the fight's going to be August 21st. August 21st at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We just might be there.
I would love to see Manny go out on top. Quite honestly, I really would. I like Errol Spence though too. And so, like I said,
what's not to like about Errol Spence, man?
He's I know,
country boy,
man. But what I'm saying is that this is a fight that I like both fighters. You know what I mean? And so,
I agree.
How do you judge? I mean, you've got experience on one hand, you got youth on the other. This is just going to be a clash of just great. That's a fight nobody wants to miss. Period.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to miss it, but at the end of the day, everybody's going to feel, even whoever wins is going to feel a bit melancholy because the guy who loses, it's not like watching Teofimo Lopez losing to Lomachenko, where you're going to be ecstatic and doing shots all night because, like, I'm so happy that guy lost. I can't wait to jump on Twitter tomorrow and just tear him apart and make memes of him getting knocked out. It's not that situation, This is a situation where these are just two guys.
Yeah, either way, you're going to be like, damn. Yeah. You know what I mean? Either way, but another thing, I do not want it to go to a draw.
I don't. I
I'm
don't
so,
see.
I am. I'm tired of the. I mean, if it's a true draw, fine. But if it's one sided or the other, let's award a winner. Award a winner. Let the other guy go. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
anyway,
I agree. So where are we at right now, time wise?
I don't know. It's 7:06.
Okay, so about 6 minutes. All right, pretty good. We didn't do bad
We're doing
today.
pretty good.
It's a good show today, bro. Mighty Mike
Huh?
didn't show up though, man. I know he's really busy and stuff, but I hope I didn't
Yeah.
jaw your ear off. But
No, you're fine, brother. Hey, I love hearing. So, I'm the odd man out. I think everybody who watches knows that I don't have anywhere near the knowledge that you guys have as far as the.
no,
the
you do,
boxing.
you do. You
No,
just
I
have.
mean,
But
yes,
what makes this show so interesting is it's kind of like, okay, it's like a presidential debate. You got the Republicans on one side, the Democrats. You got Mike on one side and me on the other side, and then you got the Speaker of the House. You're the Speaker of the House, brother. You're the one that kind of sees everything, and you have that very unique way of seeing a fight and seeing things. You've predicted it numerous times already this year alone. To see something that through what we think we know everything.
I should be a
Didn't
judge.
see that coming, so
I should be
do
a
a
judge.
great job, bro.
I
Don't ever-
honestly,
don't ever
you know
think
what?
you
Vegas, Atlantic City, New York, anywhere. You know what? I should be a judge. Period. So I'm dead serious because I call it straight. I call it like it is. You know, and I watch the fight for the fight. And it's sad to me that you get these judges, and I'm sorry I'm going off on this tangent again, but you get these judges that see a fight 180 degrees opposite of what it actually is. And it's like, how did you get to the position where you are? How many what did you have to do basically under the sheets in order to get where you are? And it's a joke. It's taken these boxers, okay, and we've said this before, whether it's somebody that's just starting out or somebody at the top of their game. These guys put their lives on the line to get in that ring. And you know what? They should be judged by somebody who understands that and not somebody that's going to be bought off. There's a thing called integrity, and people need to have integrity. If these boxers are going to get in there and actually bust their ass and put themselves in harm's way to try and take care of their families and do the best for their core group or their team, then damn it, the judges need to do the same. They need to do what's right by the sport, not necessarily by what's right in their pocketbook. And it's upsetting. It is. I see it time and time and time again, and it's
Yeah. Hey, well, we have a moment here before we go. I know we're already over a little bit. I wanted to offer a condolence and another apology.
Okay.
Just recently retired now Los Angeles Sheriff, the amazing, the great, the humble, the gladiator, John Molina Jr. lost his father, John Sr., an amazing man who I didn't meet him very many times, but I really got to know him a lot better at Johnny's last fight. Got to hang out with them a little bit and speak with them, and what just you kind of showed why Johnny was the man that he was, and why he fought so hard. And as many people out there don't know, but John Sr. Was taken away from us just recently due to cancer. Terrible disease. To see such a strong, powerful man be taken so fast, and especially somebody, because I know Johnny leading up to his retirement, and the conversations I had and what I heard him say was he was looking forward to spending a lot of time, especially with his father. Boxing takes up a lot of your time. It's a commitment, and Johnny being a young guy still who's gonna be able to do this, and it really seemed unfair. So recently he was put to rest and I was speaking to my little brother who was able to make it. I didn't, and it's just, it shows that humble side of boxing. So for a lot of media outlets that aren't going to say things or whatever and stuff, I once again want to wish nothing but happiness. I want to give our full condolences and the sadness that we all feel today, tomorrow, and probably for a very long time, if not forever, about the loss of an amazing man in John Molina Sr.
Yeah. And
he will be
I didn't
missed.
actually get a chance to meet him. The one time I went down to California, I drove to the store where he was working because I just wanted to meet him because I know him through Facebook, and we became friends through Facebook, basically based off of Johnny's career as well. And I went down there, and he had gone on a break or something, so I just missed him because I was only there for like the day, so I couldn't come back again. But from what I understood of him and looking at the video footage throughout the years of Johnny's career, just knowing that he was there, he was always backing his son, you know what I mean? And always on his son's side, no matter what. Yeah. And wanted more for his sons or for his son than for himself. That's what a dad is. And you know what? God bless you. I know he's looking down on everybody. So, yeah. Sorry, Johnny. It really sucks.
Yeah, it really does, because you think about, in the world that we live in today, and it just seems, life is so fragile, obviously, with whether it be what our current situation that people are going through, whether you believe it, you don't believe it, at the end of the day, you just got to look at the ones that are around you sometimes and just appreciate it, because at one point, it could all be taken away from you. You know what I'm saying? It could all be taken away like really fast. I mean, one day you can wake up and that person who, you thought was always going to be there, all of a sudden is not there. It's a great picture right here of Johnny, dad, along with John Molina. The tagline says it best. My father, my hero. All I ever wanted to do as a kid was to make you proud. I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything you did for us. I'll take it from here now. I got this. Rest in peace, John Sr. It reminds me of when you lose, whether it be a pet or a parent. It's like they've done their job, they've taken care of you, and now it's time for you to kind of like take the reins. But with that said, once again, looks like we're gone over. We got a little sappy there towards the end, but hey, man, boxing's an emotional sport. We're emotional people. That's the way it is. But thank you so much, Eric, today. For myself, problem, AJ Rage,
and Mighty Mike in aerospace somewhere.
In aerospace somewhere. He'll be back on Sunday. We'll be back on Sunday at 5:00. Remember, we do Sundays at 5:00, 5 p.m., Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And we'll be back on Wednesday, probably on the 7th. We're going to try to cover the Costa Zoo fight. For myself, AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red.
This was Enter the Ring live.
Big fisted Eric the Red. Look at that fist.
I love you, brother. You have a good night, okay?
I'll talk to you later.
Everybody have a wonderful night and stuff, and we'll see you